Hello everyone and welcome to today's video, a one-off special, a blast in the past. I'm going to showcase off my old Rise of Kingdoms account because I think if you guys look at this account, it might give you guys a little bit more enjoyment on basically where I came from, right? Because we have some cool little saved mails. I can go over my commanders and obviously go over all the little nitty-gritty bits with my account. So let's go into it. My old Rise of Kingdoms account, where I came from before I became a full-time committed Call of Dragons player. Hello, smash a like, comment and subscribe for more daily Call of Dragons videos. And this is, like I say, a one-off special with my old Rise of Kingdoms account. So what we're going to do is go over my old account and just showcase what it is, because you're probably wondering where any of my background comes from. So a lot of players might be wondering what gives me the justification, maybe on the spending, right? Because there's obviously all these different spending, which is very similar in Rise of Kingdoms to Call of Dragons, as well as how the gameplay works and just the way you look at investments and just the general gist of the game, right? So if we look at my account though, we are 70.9 million power. We are a full T5 account, meaning I have the max building and tech done, and you can see that I've got no buildings I can do, unless obviously I'm in a new season of Conquest where you have to build a crystal structure. Can't even say it. But yeah, if we look at all of my tech, you can see all the eco tech, fully 10 out of 10. And you have to do the eco tech in order to obviously max out and get your T5 tech complete. So all of this was done. My account age, if you want to look at the account age, is 373 consecutive days logged in. And that was obviously the total amount of time I've played and hit VIP 16 during this time, which is really obviously good. So you can see we did do quite a decent amount of spending when we were playing this game. I was in a really good job at the time, and I wasn't really honestly bothered about spending. I was just, you know, saving, should I say. I was all about, you know, having a bit of fun. So we blasted this account. So like I say, we are T5. You can see these are my museum buffs at the moment. Obviously we can't obviously go for any more because we might be able to, but who knows, you know, maybe like the Saladin ones if we ever came to play this game. But you can see what we had here, like all the guys unlocked and what we had available to, you know, to use, which was really cool. Obviously over time these have obviously progressed, so I know that's why they could be a lot better. You just got to remember that. So this was within 1 year. Remember, a lot has been added to the game, like armaments. You know, if we look at some of the armaments, I will have them on equipped on any of the heroes or commanders in the game. So let's go over the commanders, right? Because we're on the page, and you can see I can summon Chiok and Bertrand, so we can summon and get some extra heads if we really wanted to at any point. But we've got, as you can imagine, what I would say the staple in most people's eyes. So we've got like the maxed out YSG. My Cow is 5355, so he's really lucky on that roll. He also has the maxed out Minamoto. And the reason why you're going to see a little theme here with my account, and it's a really big giveaway once I show you the troops. I used to be a cavalry specialist, so yes. For my kingdom, I used to rock only cavalry and be a menace with that. And don't get me wrong, I did have a infantry march, and I used to run sometimes some sort of, you know, archer march. But generally, I always ran calves, right? I was a big cav lover, and that might be, you know, a little smile on some of your faces. And you're gonna see a big, you know, giveaway when you start seeing these commanders. So obviously maxed out Saladin, we had maxed out Genghis Khan, we rocked Aether Flare, and we was going to max out William. We had to stop at 5551 because obviously at the time, and as a lot of you guys know, we did follow Mr. Chisgall. I love Chisgall's gaming videos. Obviously at 5551, this commander is an amazing commander, and I've loved that investment ever since. And because of that, it was these other heroes that were coming into the game, which you can start to see on the screen, right? So we maxed out XY as fast as possible. We maxed out Nevsky as well as fast as possible. And what I did at the time, before any of the other commanders were out, we did max out Honda when he came out. He was one of the first players to have this guy maxed out as well in our kingdom. And I'm not going to lie, I've never looked back on it since when I did used to use it. This guy, when I used to rock it with the XY back in the day, it was a monster of a match. So much skill damage and AoE for your match. So really did like this combo. As you can see, expertise on Nev. But this is when you can see now where my account towards the end of its, I'd say, life cycle were coming, because this is when Call of Dragons started to come out, and I was working on a bunch of different commanders at the same time to make up for obviously the mass amount of cavalry that I have at my disposal, right? Because we do start to see Scipio 5511. My Attila I was working on before XY, before Nev, before any of these commanders came out. I was going for that old school Attila Takeda march. That's why he's at 5111. And I was maxing Attila still before, because of once I had these guys maxed out, a lot of players were running at the time, and you might remember an Attila Nevsky march. This was a really nasty march that you could run together. It was a very selfish march, but it generated so many kills for you. So I was working towards that. That's why my Attilas actually started, you know, spread out on the skills, because I was going over time to max him out. But then, you know, as I said, I wasn't a infantry player, I was a cav player. So when you look at some of my infantry commanders, they're in a usable state, but not, you know, massive, right? We've got 5521 on Alex. If you looked at like my Richard, it's 5511. The Charles is 5552. So he's obviously getting there. Trajan's 5511. Obviously we had, you can see the Everfled, everyone has this. The Mulan we had was 5521 as well, which was really good at the time for my account. Constantine 5511 as well. Our Mehmed 5511 as well. We've shown that. We had YSS unlocked, but we wasn't going to use him. We were thinking about it. That's why I used leveled up, because at one point, since I was such a cavalry spec guy, there were words, you know, back in the day that I might garrison lead, and if I was going to run like an old school Saladin YSS garrison until I worked on my Zenobia, because I do have Zenobia, which we'll showcase a little bit later. But we have Joan of Arc 5111, and then all the other heroes here, Guan Yu, like people will know, the Harold, Boudica, Gilgamesh, Ramses, you know, you can see, and then Zenobia, right? So we had a load of heroes still technically to work on, and we can still work on if we ever came back to this game. Maybe we do in the future, I don't know. I personally don't see it, just because, I'm not gonna lie, I just love Call of Dragons so much more. It's one of them games where I think the ranged combat for me sells it more than the massive quantity that this game does provide for you, which is fair enough. But if you go to like my items, we can have a quick little route through all the items, what we had left over on the account, you know, just before we ran out, you know, because this was at the end of a war, basically. This is all my resources at the end of the war, and all the speed ups I still had at the end of the war from fighting in the last one. A little bit of speed ups, and then obviously all the equipment, and I will show the equipment properly in a sec, but these are all the little chests, the armaments that we somehow have, with obviously some extra chests to open, and then all the others. We don't have any keys, they were opened once upon a time, and that's how we got the heroes we have today, right? So if we go to the gear to finish things off for this video, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this little reminiscence on my account. You can see why in Call of Dragons I'm pretty experienced, and I'm pretty confident in the way I come at builds, the way I fight, the way, you know, I just come at the game, because I was a really high, you know, respected player in my, you know, server when I used to play back in the day. And as you can see, I used to pump out a lot of stuff. So when we go to our gear, I'll show you the gear for our account, what we had at the time. We obviously was working on it. This was the second gear I was working on, while this was my main gear. So I ran like a 4-piece setup on obviously the legendary gear and then the expertise talent. Really, really good. I love this. I used to love silent range. Obviously these could be changed now because I do have a horn which is on my Alex. So Alex has this gear which is obviously what I'd be working on the account now. My Saladin has some gear which was the basically second slot gear. So this is what we was doing. We're working on this. I will get in a new helmet and boots. Once I had those completed, it was Nevsky time, right? Because Nevsky had some decent stats to get going. Because he's pretty broken already, so giving us some extra bits was nice. Infantry-wise, honestly, I was pretty lucky on my infantry. I'm not going to lie, my infantry gear, if I can find it, I thought it was on this hero, but it's not. Scipio, there we go. So Scipio is my infantry gear. This is what a lot of, I would say, free-to-play players should be aiming for. I'm not gonna lie, this was what I aimed for. It's so good. You get a nice amount of march speed. You got, like, you know, the health what you needed. As the Hope Cloak was really powerful. So this is what I used to have back in the day. Obviously, really, really good starter point. Obviously, I could work towards it, but obviously I didn't. I was a Cav boy. And I can show that even more by the troop details. If we go to the troop details now, you're going to be able to see all my troops. So, as you can see, I was super heavy Cav. I was all about it. I love the movement speed. I loved about, you know, getting in and out of the combat, trying to do, you know, some crazy stuff. So, I was all about that life. I was a Cav boy through and through. So, that is basically the overview of my account, right? You know, these are my kill points. You can see 548 million. If I brought that down, you can't see it because of my camera, but if I do some magical live stuff, I can hide the camera right there, and you can see all the different kill points that we aimed and killed. And like I say, for my account, just to let you know, KVK 1, 2, 3, and even Season of Conquest, I was a T4 player. So I only got to play with T5 for 2 seasons, and I just literally I just jumped up so much kill points really easily. I could fight a lot more, but our fights when we were fighting in these games, I don't know if you've ever fought in a superpower kingdom, but when you do, it allows you to, honestly, the fight could be over within the first day or two if you're against really weak opponents. So it is what it is. It was what it was, you know, but we had good times, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, we did have good times. And in the little favorites, one little mail that I do have saved from back in the day when we used to fight, and you can see here the one and only Legend Rhony did join our alliance during this time. This was in KVK Season of Conquest. It was basically just a nice little field fighting guide, rally garrison guide, being on Discord while you're fighting. It was mandatory for our alliance, but it's just showcasing, like, I've even fought with, you know, Legend Rhony and some other big YouTubers as well back in the day, and some super big whales that are still playing the game today. You know, some, you know, we can look at some old school reports that I used to rally people with back in the old school times, with like Saladin and YSG back in like the old KVK. You know, it's fun, you know. And then we have the Saladin Honda, you know, trial, trying to run stuff out. So it was fun, you know. This was a city rally going in. So I hope you enjoyed it. That is my old Rise of Kingdoms account. You can see VIP 16, 45 account, used to be a full kind of main. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe someone can pull me out of, you know, the depths of hell, and I, you know, return back to the game, and maybe I play KVK once for like maybe a fun event. Maybe if it's all like maybe YouTubers and stuff, it'd be really interesting, you know, just for the one time, you know, purpose for the channel. But that is it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Smash a like, comment, and subscribe though. My name is MrSneakyy. I'm an official Call of Dragons content creator, even though we are in Rise of Kingdoms here. But the cool thing is, Call of Dragons and Rise of Kingdoms is made by the same company, which is Lilith Games, even though this game is made by Lego. I believe that is the name, Lego Studios, and then Firelight Studios makes the Call of Dragons game. So you've got two different independent studios working on each game, right? So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed everything you've seen. I hope the comments aren't too brutal and on my gear. I know my gear isn't the greatest. It could be a lot better. But you got to remember, this was basically the early game and only probably like 2 Season of Conquest worth of playing in. So, and then I just quit, so it is what it is. So thank you for watching. Thank you if you've enjoyed it, and thank you for all the support. And for the one time only, that was my Rise of Kingdoms account on show for you guys.